everyone. I want to introduce you to somebody fabulous. But first, let me say hi to some people. Robert is here. Yay. Hi, Robert. And so is Kim Smith. Wonderful. Hello, Kim. And Robert already gave me a donation, I see. So I will try to work you in, but I need you to know that we have another guest on the show. Yay. And let's see, Ruth is here. Hi, Ruth. Yay. Thank you for showing up. I love it. And Richard is here. Yay. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And I want you to introduce to you, if you don't already know her, Suzanne Wyman. She is a wonderful psychic and healer and visionary, I would say. And she's going to demonstrate on me today. And I'm so excited about that. I'm excited to feel what she does and to experience what she does. And yeah, let's get on with the show.
Thanks for bringing me on, and thanks for being a willing participant, because
Absolutely.
Because we don't know what we're going to find. And we're going to sit down, we're going to do the show, and I'm going to do my work, and I'm going to explain it as I go along. But we don't actually know what's going to happen. We don't have any idea. We're venturing out on an act of faith, and let's see what happens. So the way I'd like to do it, if you don't mind, is I tune into your chakras. And people always ask this question. They always go, the telephone, in person, which one's better? If you're an energy worker, I personally prefer to work through a computer or telephone or in person. But anything works, really. A photograph, anything really works. No difference, really no difference. Energy is energy, and it circles around and moves. So it's not that big of a deal. So it's kind of interesting. Your first chakra is amazingly bright and really colorful and has a ton of gold light in it right now. So it tells me a couple of different things about you. One is that you have a really great sense of direction. You don't have any problem with navigating on the planet. You don't get lost easily. You have a fine sense of direction. You also have a real connection to nature. So it's not really hard. Not hard for you to connect with nature and to, honor, whatever sort of native energy that you're working with. So those things are really easy. There is like this gold swirl. It reminds me of what a spring would look like. And it looks like you're attempting to make movement to go into your true divine nature as far as your direction, your path, and your life at this point. Okay.
Sounds fabulous.
Okay. But can you, thanks. Can you kind of give us a little bit of interaction? Is that fit with what's going on in your life right now?
It does, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yes. So the first chakra, for anybody who doesn't know, is the root chakra. And that has to do with community, which I feel like I have community all over the United States and some places all over the world, So, interesting. So yes, that fits. And I also am expanding everything that I do. So, yes, that is very fitting too. Yes.
Okay. So let's go to the next part of the explanation is that chakra 1, and which is your root chakra, and your 7th chakra, which is your crown chakra, pair. So if you have your sense of direction and you have it hooked into your enlightened state, a lot of your problems are really solved. Your body is always protected. So we've all spent a lot of time understanding the color and understanding the age progression and everything else. But now we're at a different place, and we're looking at the picture of what actually happens when a person doesn't have their root chakra joined with their crown chakra. They're not protected. But for you, it's interesting because the first thing that came up when I looked at that is that your crown chakra is rotating not in the traditional female direction. It's operating in the more masculine direction, although that's not definitive. That's just an observation. But it does say that you had some sort of a challenge 6 weeks ago. So 40 days and 40 nights back, 40 days and 40 nights back, we go, and that will bring us to a different date. And I think that might be near the time when your father was passing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that it did like, it's not like a damaging experience, but it's just sort of an observational thing of that chakra says, it's still recovering from what happened 40 days and 40 nights ago. Okay. So 6 weeks back. So I don't know. Okay. But that sort of matches up with your story, right?
It does. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
It also says that you've spent a lot of time taking and putting energy out of your crown chakra to protect, caretake, pray, and nourish other individuals. So a lot of that very, very high voltage energy you have shared quite freely with a lot of people.
Agreed. I think everybody that's listening to this show would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me as an observer because it's not the absolute highest piece of energy that we access in our human existence, but usually people are very conservative with that piece of energy, but you're not. You're like, oh, it's fine. There's plenty of it. Let's just, but you've sort of developed this thing of setting out antennas from it, like different points and stuff like that. Oh, I sense this person who I love and care about is in a difficult place. And then you'll take and make that contact and ask those questions. So it's through your connections that you feel as if you've nourished your current life.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So then we go to chakra number 2, and chakra number 2, which is called the sacral chakra, is also our relationship chakra. It's probably one of the most durable chakras there is. It's like really durable. And it pairs with your throat chakra. And so you'll find that most people don't really have the voice to speak up in relationship matters until they get a little older and a little bit more certain of themselves. And so it's any time in your 35th year that you can have what I call the connection between chakra number 2 and chakra number 5. But that relates to your voice, finding your voice in the relationship. And so the first thing that happens when I tune into your second chakra is that second chakra talks about like 3 really important people in your life died between the ages of 7 and 14 for you as a person. And so that's you want to think about that a little bit?
Did you say 3?
I said there were 3 people. Yeah. So, but it looks.
Yeah. My mom was the most important that died at that age. My great uncle also. And you said between 12 and 14. Yeah.
No. Between 7 and 14.
Oh, 7.
Age 7 and age 14.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like you maybe understood the significance of that person, but it looks like it happened in that chapter and you were aware of it. And then later on, that person played an important role in your life. And then you didn't understand why they had a lot of the problems that they did in their own life.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. So chakra number 2 and 5, those are paired up really nicely. I see really good harmony in there. I see you feeling good about speaking up for yourself, addressing things as they come up, not waiting on your problems. You've got something to say, you say it right then and there, you get it over with, and you move on to the next part of the equation. And I
try to do that. Yes.
Yeah. This chapter of your life has been kind of like trying to find a way to get people to listen to what you have to say without being pushy or trying to create some sort of an argument or a falling out of some sort. So you've been more careful, but you still have been very plain spoken. And that is one of your great strengths. Okay. But really good connection there. Really, really good connection. So now we're going to go to chakra number 3. And chakra number 3 is such an interesting piece because chakra number 3 is the last of our chakras that relate to animal nature. And I'm going to take and grab a book that I want to be really certain that I discuss this correctly. I don't want any misinformation out there. So I'm going to grab my book, which is in the place I knew it was. What a miracle.
Woohoo!
Woo-hoo,
Always good.
So chakra number 3 is wisdom, order, and strength. And so it has 3 spots. It has the liver, and it has the point of entry into your stomach. And then it has, on the back side of that, it has strength. So those 3 chakras, those 3 points have to be in alignment for the 3rd chakra to really be able to pair up to the next one. And the one that it pairs up with is, of course, the heart chakra. So 3 and 4 are the movement that you get when you have this feeling of passion about what you love, what you're doing, and you have this wisdom and you know how to do it, and you create this movement. And so it goes back and forth like playing with flute energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at that with you, it's interesting because it says that you use your liver energy excessively to pull in information from out in the ethers. So our liver is like this giant satellite dish pulling in all of this information, and then we metabolize how that affects us. But you actually use your liver energy to solve problems for other people, using yourself sort of like as a vehicle, putting yourself into sort of an altered state and pulling that ethereal energy through your liver, making sense of the wisdom, the order, and using your own strength in order to prosper individuals to go to their place of love.
Okay.
And the interesting thing that it says that has happened recently is that you really came to understand that you have a lot more energy there, and that you were able to drop a piece of anger. You were able to drop a piece of hurt feelings recently, and that freed up a lot of energy, and you were able to create more momentum. So
Yes.
it's kind of surprising, you know. I don't know about you, Marcia, but I hate surprises. My work has got plenty of surprises in it. I don't mean more good. So, and my sweet husband, he's like, oh, how about if we just make it a surprise? How about if we don't ever make any surprises? Okay. Yeah. But I think the interesting thing of it is that I think that you, and it says, it's that same chapter of time. It says that you went through a shift, you looked at the material that was around you, and then you were surprised by what you understood. And so as the result of that understanding, you're able to come back into the place of loving yourself more deeply, caring for yourself more meticulously, and investing in yourself more thoroughly.
That's very true. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I'm surprising you and putting you on the spot here, but you want to talk a little bit about what you discovered? You don't have to give us specifics. You talk a little bit about what you discovered that was the sense of, so I always explain it this way. Rage is yellow. Rage, as far as energetic color, is yellow because rage protects you. So if somebody becomes enraged, it's because they feel vulnerable in some way, somehow, some shape, some form. They're vulnerable, and that energy is held in the liver. Okay. So when we look at this equation, it's kind of like, through what happened, you actually saw that you never let yourself experience the rage. You had hurt feelings, you had anger, but then for the first time you actually saw it and you were like, oh, I know what this is. I understand how I have halted this process. So you are in a growth cycle in the 3rd chakra.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Without giving up your personal story, you want to talk about that a tiny bit?
Well, I don't mind, unless you don't want to hear my personal story. I don't mind telling it. So
I really don't. So can we
okay.
just Okay,
I can make a so
I'm gonna give a timeline to it. So birth, actually conception to 7 is chakra number 1, our sacral, our root chakra. Our second chakra is age 7 to 14. That's our sacral chakra. And this is the solar plexus. And this is about order, wisdom, and strength. And it's age 14 to 21. What an incredibly important developmental stage. So I know something happened at your chakra says it was age 15. So it says age 15, and basically you didn't experience a lot of your feelings. And then you went through your challenge recently, and then you actually tapped in to what that pain was about. So that's what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah. In a really short version, my dad kicked me out of the house at age 15. And so I went to live with my sister. Never was allowed back in his house until, well, he actually asked one of us to come live with him or move him down to our house. And we weren't able to do that, but I was able to get him set up with my stepsister. Well, anyway, it happened that my stepsister was able to move in with him and take care of him. And then when he passed away, a lot of healing happened.
Oh, good.
So that's a short version.
Yeah.
So
now you're healing this issue. I always have a cough drop around. I can't believe it. Okay, so here we are in chakra number 3, and chakra number 3 doesn't get the full movement of chakra number 4, the heart, the love, until it's actually moving like a lot of energy. So you've got to be going through it's like when I look at your heart chakra, it reminds me of one of those flip page books. It's like this imagery of pages of your story just flip through just as fast as you can go. So one of the things is that you've looked at it and you've said, well, now I understand why I couldn't do some of these things. I tried to succeed. I tried to accomplish these things. I tried to create understanding. I tried to create these connections, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have this third chakra in order. I didn't have strength, wisdom, and order in a way that was, usable for myself. Right. So then we take you from age 21 of the heart chakra to age 28. Okay. And so now we move into the throat chakra, and between 28 and 35, you find how to speak in relationships. And the first thing that chakra tells me that you didn't feel understood in that chapter of your life at all, that it was probably one of the most complicated. No,
I mean, absolutely. Yes, that's true. I did not feel understood.
Yeah, so you didn't feel understood. You couldn't communicate what you wanted to communicate. You felt as if nobody could really hear you. And instead of trying to, use the traditional tools of, maybe a 12-step program or counseling or therapy or psych meds that most people would turn to, you said, if I could simply connect to nature and the great outdoors, I will get my energy back.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of times you put yourself through chapters of where you didn't have enough food and where you were cold and where it was just really hard going, rough work. And you put yourself into that position because you decided that if your human family could not hear your cries for help, then your nature family would. And you were right. They did. And it healed you. It really, really healed you. But it's an interesting thing because that is where the opening is. There is that opening in that throat chakra. And the theory of things is that chakra is about power. So personal power, right? And they say that it's actually the root of the tongue. And if you look at anatomy and you look at where the root of the tongue would be and everything else, it's Philip, if we talk about the Christian, concept as a disciple. But basically what it is it's your own sense of personal empowerment. It is your own sense of power in the world and how to speak up for yourself, right? So, and the piece that comes with that now is that you're taking the time to go and talk to different family members that you may have been close to and lost contact with, or people that you were once really close friends with and you felt as if they didn't really understand the real story of what happened. You've taken the time to go back to them and listen to what they had to say and to ask them questions about what you don't know about because you weren't there. It was a lot of years that you were, you were in an estrangement of a certain level from your family of origins.
Yes.
Right. Right. Is there a different word you'd prefer I use than estrangement?
No, that's pretty fitting.
Okay.
It wasn't that I was pushing them away or that they were pushing me away, just we didn't see each other.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And in your relationships, you didn't feel as if you were understood. So you minimize the amount of risk in those relationships, So, which is kind of an interesting thing because that is the area now that we're ready to heal. This is the point that this is the place that needs healing. This is the chakra that was, cumulatively damaged. Chakra number 3, yes. Not as concerned about that one, but I am concerned about the throat chakra. Okay. And then if we go to the third eye, and the third eye is understanding, right? Understanding, will, imagination, and the act of faith, right? And that pairs, and this is not my original work. Brew Joy writes about this. He wrote the book Joy's Way. It's a classic book. It was written in the 70s. So chakra number 6 pairs with what's called our 8th chakra or our transpersonal chakra. And this is the one that is painted like a halo in art and so forth. And it is just runs around like a circle and it has little orbs attached to it, anywhere from 1 to 21. We really don't know. Some people have an enormous number of them and some people only have one. I don't have any answer. I don't even know if it's significant. I mean, to be absolutely honest with you, I don't even know if it really even matters to anything. But the interesting explanation here is that your second chakra is not full, is not completely full, hasn't received its full energy, hasn't come into its full balance, and your throat chakra has an actual opening inside of it. I think you like that opening because you can use it to pull energy through, but for a period of time while it heals, I would just like to ask that you not do that. Okay?
Okay.
So it's up to you. So I'm gonna go back now after we've done. Okay, so first question: is there any part of that I described that's not clear?
No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that? Like any sort of thing you want to talk about for like a minute? Because I can feel and see you stumbling over a piece of material that kind of explains where it happened.
Explains where it happened. So the thing about maybe I should ask about the thing about the throat chakra. I guess I wasn't aware that I was using a hole to pull things in my throat chakra. So how would I know to not use that?
So here's the thing that you're doing with people. You're working with people and you're placing them in an altered state and you're using, a vocal quality, but you're using a vocal quality that comes from spiritual energy. And instead of using your crown chakra, like, which would be sending light through the hands, leaving light prints with your feet. Some people send energy through their feet, and that's how other people follow that person. They're unaware of it, but those little light prints are like, like a little path or roadway marker for people to follow. Other people will send light through their hands, and when they do that, people know that they're like being touched, they're being healed. Laying on of hands is the most popular concept that we work with today.
Right.
And then there's people that send light through their eyes, and then there's people who send light through their heart. Okay. So those are all the basic concepts that are addressed in our metaphysical training and education and our learning, right? And the chakras are always adjusted, observed, and balanced through the front, never through the back. I've met people that were permanently psychotic as the result of allowing somebody to adjust from the back. So always from the front. It's easier to move the energy on the back. So people do it. And, that's my piece of it. That's my warning, is you just do it from the front. It takes more energy. It takes more effort. It takes more clarity. It takes more discipline. It takes many things, but it's more work. Basically, it's just more work. So in this place of power, wanting to have a sense of spiritual empowerment and touch into spiritual energy, you're using this throat chakra for power. And so people go into an altered state, and then you allow this energy to come from outside of yourself and to move through that chakra. And so it's not that there's nothing negative in this world, right? There's nothing negative. It's just that it has the potential to not be beneficial for you. Okay. So when I describe what you're doing with your voice, can you see how you're doing that?
I can understand that. Yeah.
Or did you want me to be more specific?
Well, I feel like you use a combination of things. So I'm moving energy with my hands all the time as well.
Okay.
I'm also moving energy out my feet. Not necessarily like healing people, but constantly moving energy out my feet so that I'm getting rid of it, putting it out. Yeah.
Okay. It's an interesting sort of, well, first of all, you and I don't actually know each other.
True.
We've talked on the phone, and I called you at one point, and then I called you at another point, and we had a conversation, but we don't actually know each other. So there is sort of, I wouldn't say there was like a reservation, but there's definitely, I don't really know that much about you, and you don't know much about me either. Right.
Yeah.
So we're sitting down, we're hashing out a deeply personal conversation with you. And so I'm going to be more specific with you. So you use hypnosis to help people access, addictions, negative habits, or bad memories. I believe that's what your chakra says you do.
Absolutely.
And you use that. And then it's not that you would tell me that you heal them. It's that you help them access a grounding, anchoring place within themselves to stay centered and not go out on this behavior which is causing them conflict and inner turmoil.
Right.
Okay. So, and I kind of wish I heard this more. You can't help people heal things that you yourself haven't healed. Right.
True.
So if you don't have knowledge about how that healed for you, or how you made it through an obstacle, and you don't really have anything to share with people. And I tell people all the time, I don't offer advice on things that I don't have a lot of success in, or that I personally have not overcome. I don't just say, oh, this is stock advice, this is what you should do. I don't do that. If I don't have information on it, I'm like, no. So
Right.
here's
Mhm.
what you're doing. I think this is what I think, but I don't know, and this is where you have to sort of tell me.
Okay.
I think what you're doing is that when you're taking and working with somebody and you're doing some sort of a hypnotic meditative process, you're putting yourself in a hypnotic meditative state in order to create better energetic access. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So um it's referred to as a dissociative experience, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're
Hmm.
exterior of the body, right? You're
Hmm.
in spirit form. You're not working from a physical form. You're working from the spiritual energy. And then
Hmm.
you're taking that energy from the spiritual body and you're using that energy in order to assist people.
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So, and it's not bad or good or anything. I'm not judging it. I'm just
Right.
saying that this chakra has a hole in it from doing that practice.
Okay.
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 So, up to you what you would like to do about that.
Well, I would like to fix that.
Okay, then let's fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's fix it then. So, have you at this point in time in your life uh, worked out a lot of your difficulty about communicating for yourself in a relationship? Or is that still an issue?
I guess that depends on what kind of relationship it is. In a
Or
romantic relationship, I haven't had the the opportunity, I guess, because I haven't been really together or with anyone for about 6 years now.
so um so I just I'm gonna draw a couple of lines in here and then
Mhm.
we're gonna look at it and then we're gonna go to work at it. And I so your chakras work like a stacking process. They
Mhm.
stack one on top of the other, they connect and then they stack and it forms this geometric pattern, which is what the Hindus do in their mandalas. So
Mhm.
and I happen to really enjoy studying the Hindu concepts for looking at chakras. I enjoy it. It's just very it's ancient. It's really very good. But what's happening is that your second chakra, which is age 7 to 14, isn't full, and then your fifth chakra has a hole inside of it, and you're using that for your work. And you know, it just a general comment is that we don't take and circulate energy in that way, not because it's wrong, but because it requires more self-discipline and structure to do it more appropriately and not deplete ourselves. Not saying
Mhm.
you've depleted yourself, but eventually there's a high potential that you could deplete that energy. And your voice is your work.
Right.
Okay. So
Mhm.
so there were three people that died between the ages of 7 and age 14. And do you know the three people who died? I mean, your mother, that's a huge piece. That's huge.
Right.
And then did your stepmother enter
Oh,
in?
my grandmother or my grandpa and my great uncle, all three of them died that between those ages.
Okay. And were you close to your grandfather?
In a way. I
Was
also found him kind of abusive, but I found my dad abusive too. So verbally, not necessarily physically.
so was your grandfather the sort of the individual who kept your father grounded and kept him in the world and kept him centered?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. So that
Hmm.
was the loss wasn't necessarily your attachment to your grandfather, your father's father, but it was the loss of your father being attached and how he began to unravel because of
Hmm.
that, right?
Hmm.
And so
Right.
did your father then in that piece did he then take and find himself another wife?
He did. Right. Immediately. 5 months later, he was married. Yeah. And then not, it might have been 5 or 6 months later beyond that. that is when I got kicked out. So
Right. And did they have children together?
my stepmother, no, but he paid way more attention to all of her kids than he did any of us.
Right.
So, yeah.
So sad, really, really sad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But now that you look back on it and seeing what your father really was, a man who was female dependent, afraid of women, but needing women, codependent in his relationships with women, needing control and authority. Nobody was allowed to be different from him. You know, he was a person of absolutes. It was his way, no way, or the highway. You were always welcome to choose anytime you wanted. You know, now looking at that piece, you know, and I'm sure in some way or another you picked, you know, other people in your life that had those same qualities. Now looking back at that, as brutal as it was to, you know, be forced into a situation of leaving the family home, now can you see why it turned out that way and how it was better that it happened that way than you remaining and having to submit to your father, give up your identity, and become basically an extension of him?
Oh, yes, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. That would
Okay.
have been horrible. Mm.
So right then when you said that chakra number 2 filled up. It filled all the way back up. It went
Wow.
it went into its normal place. You probably have
Mhm.
a better sense of feeling stronger about who and what you are and what you want from people. You just sort of you feel more connected, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's just
Yeah, it feels different in my stomach. Yeah.
okay, good, good.
Mhm.
So the interesting thing that when you say that, I saw this immediate shot that went right to your liver. I was like, oh, come on now, don't do that. Don't do the liver energy piece. Oh no. Okay, so let's talk about liver energy for a minute, okay?
Okay.
I used to be believed that you know, that your heart wasn't the most important organ, it was your liver. And and it circulates like a pint of blood every minute. It controls your lungs, it controls your brain, it controls your kidneys, it controls how you digest. It is the most important organ. um,
Yeah.
we come back around to it, but the other part of it is that it connects us to the cosmos. It connects us to the great ethereal net.
Mhm.
So instead of you experiencing the pain of what it was to be rejected um, by your father, you'd been orphaned by your mother, and then your father rejected you and made you an orphan one more time at a more complete level. So you became the wounded orphan child. So you probably spent a lot of time and energy trying to figure out what your place was in the world. Okay.
Yes. That is definitely true. Yes.
Okay. And so
Mhm.
through a lot of different things of trying to go into nature and to actually understand ritual sacrifice and what those defining pieces were, you used your liver to connect to that ethereal net and that ethereal energy, and you pulled that energy in and became very adept at it. But you didn't use it for yourself, you used it for helping people to you kind of became a specialist at helping people to heal from rage, anger, hurt feelings, displacement, all the things that you had had to sort of overcome. And so you kind of learned how to access that piece of energy in a way that I don't want to say that it was a deficiency, but it was costly. It was very, very costly. One of the first things that happens to me when I tune into that is I see you as a person between the ages of 15 and 21, thinking, wow, I did all of that for them and helped their life improve. And they can't be friends with me. It was a mystery to you as to how you ended up feeling rejected after doing so much to help people improve their life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I assume at some point or another, you realize that you were giving this very precious healing energy to the wrong people.
Yes.
Okay. But not
Yeah.
without having been taken advantage of in a few different situations. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
So today, when I take and I bring you into this place and I tell you, okay, we got that chakra filled up, it's moving, and literally the shape of it is lovely. It's perfect. The coloration on it's lovely. The pulsing of the different pieces is just moving really nice. And then as soon as you felt that feeling, bang, you went right into your liver energy. Like, oh, it's rather than trust and connect with a human being, I'd rather trust and connect with the ethereal ethernet, great cosmos energy, because I know that energy is there for me. But in order for you to get the full potential of all of your energy, you have got to take and go through this process. And are you second born daughter from your father?
Yes.
Okay, you're
Took
second
me
born
a
daughter.
minute. Yeah, but yes.
So second born daughter is like mother. Okay,
Hmm.
so firstborn daughter is like father,
Okay.
and second-born daughter is like mother.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yes. I am
Okay,
definitely like my mom.
okay. So when we take apart the pieces of what happened, how could your father have the face, the energy, and the voice of his wife, his first wife, in the same house of the second wife? How could he have both of those pieces living in the same house? So
Wow.
he didn't kick you out. He had to bury everything that he felt about your mother in order to be able to go on, because he was so fragile, so ego-centered, so vulnerable as a male, so unsure of what he was, that he had to get rid of his wife. He didn't get rid of you. He got rid of his wife.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? You looked the same. You had the same voice. You handled things the same way. You talked to him the same way. And so
Yes.
it created this feeling inside of him that what was he going to do? Because your stepmother, not a bad person, just a completely unconscious human being, saw
Mhm.
the power you had over him. And without saying, how come she has that much power over you? And saying, look, that's your daughter. It's none of my business. She saw you as the person who could take away her husband and the father to her children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess nobody thought about using a therapist here. I'm thinking there was no therapy
Oh
involved.
no, there was a therapist. She was nuts. She later lost her license.
Right.
Uh,
So bad
yeah.
therapy, which is very damaging. But
I yeah, at least I will give her this. She told me and my dad that I was not schizophrenic. So that's happy. It was all my fault. Everything that ever happened was all my fault. But I was not schizophrenic. So
it's so tragic because sometimes people that are, locked up in institutions are really not, they're just deeply spiritual human beings who've been really hurt.
I
So
absolutely yes. That's happened in my family as well. Yeah.
so interestingly enough, you couldn't, if you actually experienced the rage of that chapter, you would have devolved into something very different. you would have turned it into a very unhealthy human being. So somehow you knew you couldn't ever experience that rage. So you didn't experience it, but you were very aware of it. So I think you started at some point as a teenager sitting down and just saying, it's there, it's part of me, it's like a person. All I have to do is allow it to coexist with me, and it won't be uncomfortable, and it will later serve me. So almost like taking and making your hurt, hard feelings into a person in your own thought process, right? So then what happens is that because it's liver energy, the unexpected gift occurs, which is you become very connected to ethereal energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and there's no hurt feelings there. There's no anger. There's just this reserve of energy that is sort of, endless energy. And you have full connection to it. Okay. I just looked at the screen and realized that my room had gotten really dark and I needed to take and turn on some sort of a light because it's sundown here in California. So let's see if that helps. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah.
So that's an interesting observation about yourself to use that healing tool.
Right.
Okay. But when I sit down with you and I say, look, you've got to take and leave that energy centered in chakra number 2 for a period of time to heal. You have to grieve, the loss of your mother, your grandfather, your uncle. But your grandfather's loss was not direct. It was indirect. It was the fact that your father couldn't function without that. So that's how it impacted you.
Yeah.
So once you actually are okay with grieving that, you will not take and access that energy from your liver in order to solve a lot of your problems. And then we'll have the energy going in the relationship zone, and we'll have it connecting here to your throat, and you'll find your sense of power. So it really benefits you. We've covered a lot of material in a really intense and short period of time, if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically it's been 50 minutes and we have covered what happened. So it's going to be a little bit of self-discipline, but it's also going to have to be like, you're going to have a conversation with me just a little bit further. But the outcome, and this is where I want to give you the encouragement, the outcome should be is that you have a sense of empowerment, you have a sense of using your voice effectively, and that you don't have to take and use your organs to access this information. You can use your actual energy off your chakras, which is is safer, easier, more sustaining. The spiritual strength that you get from using chakra energy rather than organ energy, it'll make a real big difference, and it won't cost you as much.
That will be lovely. Yes.
Talk to me. Ask questions. Talk to me.
So I felt like pain that I knew was in my liver for, I don't know, it's probably been years now, but I can tell when it's overworked and I need to massage it and help it feel better, but I haven't had anybody give me an answer to why, because I'm careful about the medications that I take, and I don't drink alcohol much. Now I did go through a period in my life between 21 and I don't know 35 probably that I did a lot of drugs, but that's long past and things should be healed and and recovered from that,
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
very interesting to me.
Right. But when I
Mhm.
say this, when I go through my own conclusions with you, does it in your body, does it feel true? Does it feel accurate? Does
It
it
does.
okay, it
Yeah.
resonates.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't think it's uncommon for people to not want to experience that sort of deep pain and try and anesthetize it. But I also know that you can't do the spiritual work if you drink heavily. You just can't do it.
No, you
You
can't.
just you can't.
Mm-mm.
So I don't drink. I mean, I'm an extreme example. No antibiotics, no drinking,
Mhm.
no nothing, I mean, absolutely nothing,
Mhm.
so and it's been more than 32 years that I've lived like that. And
Yeah.
I can't ask other people to do that, of course, but this is what I have done, so
Mhm.
when you take in what happens, so you're taking and using this piece of energy in your liver, and you're working it, you know whenever you would take and drink, you would it would be like there'd be like a piece of fabric that starts to unravel. And now, all these years later, you've taken and you've gathered these pieces up. But what it did is it made it possible for you to understand how to use that energy, which is really great for other people because their lives benefit, their energy benefits, their circumstances change, they have like a miraculous experience. Most people don't understand that the best psychic reading you ever get will not be remembered, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
that's not really too helpful to us in our work. Um, right?
I know.
Right? I mean, it's not real helpful. Oh, my life changed. Well, I don't know how it changed. Okay. So, yeah. So it's like, it's sort of like one of those oddities. But
Mhm.
when you understand that you're using energy that you should be using for yourself in order to get yourself to your heart energy. So some of the Hindu drawings show a section of the heart that is called the higher. They put a little turquoise heart here, and they call it the higher love experience. And
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting because it's not universally accepted. My theory is that not all people can get to the place of higher love. So,
Right.
so you're not going to see that on every person with their chakras. You're just not.
Yeah.
So it is that, but for your health and for your benefit and for your long-term health benefit, it is worth it for you to stay and grieve the losses that you experienced as an orphan, as a young person, right?
Mhm.
Basically a child, and grieve those losses and let that energy fill up, right? Fill up and
Mhm.
get bright and everything else, and then learn how to keep that energy of the third chakra centered right in the third chakra. And then
Mhm.
once that happens, then we'll have the exchange of energy. They call it in Christianity the brothers of thunder, right? So what you
Mm.
feel in your belly inspires your heart. And when that momentum takes over, it just feels like thunder and lightning and movement. And it just feels like you're unstoppable, which you are energetically. But you have never really gotten the full benefit of it from your heart placement because you have this liver energy that you're using to take care of other people and not take care of yourself. Sorry to say it that bluntly.
No,
So
that's okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
then we come to this chakra, your throat chakra, and your throat chakra is not in this strong bonded connection between your sacral chakra and your throat chakra. It's like it connects and then it pulls open. It connects and then it pulls open. And that opening feels good. I mean, it feels really good when it happens because it's like a rush of energy that happens to you when you are guiding somebody or talking them through a piece. The power
Mhm.
is intense. It's very intense. And so you like that feeling, you like that high, you like that buzz. Who doesn't? Um, but potentially, it is potentially not beneficial.
Okay.
Okay.
So I should concentrate then. I mean, you're not saying I shouldn't use my voice, right? You're
No, I'm not
saying
saying
I
that at
should
all.
use it
No.
in an entirely different way, correct?
I'm saying that you should grieve your losses of that age, get
Mhm,
that chakra moving, stop
mhm,
using your liver energy to have relationships with people,
mhm,
and just learn how to take and get that energy to go straight from your solar plexus to your heart chakra, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's an exercise of where you imagine those two pieces moving and moving and moving and moving. And then this chakra will heal, and you will no longer need to do that for people. A lot of people don't really understand that psychics often give away their energy, their very vital force, in order to assist other people in the belief that it serves a greater cause. And it's true, perhaps, but I think at this point in time, you're having the awareness of that's why you're having this conversation with me. That's why I showed up at this time to talk to you about this, right at
Yeah,
the time that I did, is because you're having the awareness that it has to be different, because you should have more energy, not less energy. And that is what you're experiencing, is less energy.
right. And I think people can possibly they can sense that I do relationships in a different way, maybe. And I it seems like I will have closer relationships through this, right?
Yeah, it's true. And
Mhm,
most, to be
mhm,
honest with you, in my work of working with people with their chakra energy, chakra number 3 is the one that is probably the most problematic. If you line up your elbows to that, your elbows are, line up to that chakra
mhm,
number 3.
mhm,
You talk to people about their, having elbow problems, and your elbow is your strongest joint in your body, and yet people that haven't resolved these issues, basically you're doing for other people what you should be doing for yourself, and you're
mhm,
using your energy to make their life better, and then their life gets better, and then they forget what you did for them.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I don't know if that's really what you want to be doing.
Not really. I've wondered for a long time why I don't get um repeat clients necessarily. I don't know if people entirely forget me and they might think, wow, she was really powerful, she was really magical, but as far as the shift goes in them, I don't think that they're aware of how much shifted. And so I've been looking for a different way to do things to go so that they are aware, and not that I need the recognition, but I would like them to come back to me. I mean, I'm really good at this, so why not
Right.
utilize that, you know?
That's the whole equation, because you're using
Yeah.
this energy to improve their lives, and your life is not improving significantly at the same ratio. And that's the equation. So no, you are not asking for anything. You're just talking about the fact, what happened here? I'll tell you what, you did too much for them.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, the theory is that if you're outside your body, who's taking care of your body?
Right. Hmm.
That's the question. And
Yeah.
so my answer to that is there's nobody watching the house.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
I know it's oversimplification. And there's a couple more conversations you and I can have about this to talk about it. But yeah,
Hmm.
this is my very, very first time of doing a public conversation about how I'm doing chakra balancing work,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
what I'm doing in that. So, and I have to say, you were honest, you're open, you're willing, you didn't take and pull any punches, no excuses, nothing. You kept with the facts, you kept to the story, you remained accountable. It was lovely to do it with you, really lovely.
Right. Good. Thank you very much. And I know we're out of time.
Tell
Robert,
me
I
quick.
apologize. I will get you a reading at some point, but thank you so much, Suzanne,
You're
because
very welcome. Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
Yeah,
Really
I
quick.
feel like I can breathe all the way through my chakras now. So,
Wow, really good.
yay.
Really, really
Yeah.
good. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks so much.
And thanks everyone for being here.
All
Bye-bye.
right.